I've been thinking about this recently quite a lot, and although the goal of my channel is more so about teaching you React than it is about talking about React stuff, I really felt that I should make a video about this because you guys need to be aware of what's going on, and I really think that this is going to help you in your journey as a React developer. There is a big difference between what you see online on places like Twitter, TikTok, or even here on YouTube with regards to React and what's actually going on outside of that bubble. And I say bubble because it really genuinely is a bubble. There are a lot of other channels out there and people that talk about and voice their opinions on React every single day. Things like talking about the new server actions that just got announced, talking about the latest and greatest design patterns in React, or whatever new library is currently in and which one is currently on its way out. Now, I want to be very clear because I don't want you guys to misinterpret this. I don't actually have a problem with all of these people and channels talking about React. I don't have a problem with debates going on in React. We're generally talking about how we can make React better. In fact, I fully support this and I genuinely believe that this is the only way that React gets better with each and every single update. We need these discussions, we need these debates to make React better long-term as a community. But the issue that I have with this is that it doesn't always accurately represent the state of React in the real world. What you see online and all of these discussions and topics and opinions don't always map to how you're going to work with React whenever you join a company or a project in the real world outside of that bubble. And the reason for that is that that world is the real world. It's the real world in the sense that that is how React is used by companies all across the globe, by actual companies with actual products making serious revenues, companies with big teams and processes that have been there for many, many years. And those companies, let me tell you, they're not interested in using the latest and greatest from React. They're not interested in this new library that launched last week. They're not interested in using the new experimental features of React like server actions. And they're not interested because the risk is too high and it doesn't make sense for a company that already has a product that is running with actual users. You have to understand and to be aware that any new library or framework or any new feature of a framework is going to be unstable by nature. I mean, just look at any other library and look at the differences between version 1 and version 4, for example. The APIs are completely different and there's always breaking changes. And to keep up with all of these new versions, it takes time and resources, and oftentimes it's just not worth it. Just imagine if you were deciding to build a company or a product that you knew would get used by tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of users. Which technologies would you use for that product? Would you use something that is experimental, something that just came out last week, something that only now people are starting to use? Of course you wouldn't. You wouldn't because the risk is too high and it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense for your product. In the real world, the priority is not adopting the newest technology, and it's definitely not jumping on the latest hype bandwagon. The priority is the product and the company and making sure that those succeed. No CEO is ever going to care that you want to work with server actions just because they're new and cool and everybody's talking about them. They will want you to use something that is not going to break in 3 months because a new update pushed 20 breaking changes. And also, this is something that unfortunately isn't talked about enough, but they would want you to use something that other developers will have experience working with and can contribute to efficiently, instead of having to learn something new every time, or even worse, every quarter have to spend a couple of weeks just making updates because there's a new update and things aren't compatible anymore. Only individual developers care about the latest and greatest technology, which is fair, right? As a developer, you always want to work on the cool stuff because it's just cool. It's new, it's cool, everyone is talking about it, and you want to be a part of it. But the reality is that companies, they are not individual developers and they don't care about the hype. They care about their product and they will want to use the things that will make their product successful, even if they're old and even if they're boring and out of style. And the thing is, these companies severely outnumber the amount of individual developers that you see online. But the unfortunate thing is that these companies aren't vocalizing their opinions. So the only voices that you see online are the voices of individual developers, and that unfortunately paints a false picture of what it's actually like to work with React in the real world. Too often, I see developers completely disregard stable and proven libraries just because a new one came out recently and now everybody's talking about it. And what those developers will do is they'll go and they'll build a project for a client using that library instead of using the stable one. And And then a couple months later, they might even leave the project, leave that code there, soon to be no longer working because that library is eventually going to get updated and will have a new API that's no longer going to be compatible with the way that it was previously. And then what does the company owner do? What does the owner of the product do, right? They have to hire somebody else. They have to onboard them. They have to pay a ton of money just to have that library fixed. And then they will be stuck with that code until they either change it or until the product dies. It's really inefficient, and the only person that loses is the person that owns the product. It's the actual company, not the developer. And this concept is really, really important. As a React developer, you are soon going to go into the workforce if you're not there already, and then you're going to contribute to a variety of different projects and teams, and you need to understand this. You need to understand that what you may want as an individual and what is preached online doesn't always map to what the client needs and what the actual product and application or company will benefit from. And it's your job as a good React developer to understand that and then to make decisions not for yourself but for the actual project. That is how you become a senior developer. You make decisions and you understand that the priority is the project and not yourself wanting to work on the latest and greatest technology just because online everybody is currently talking about it. And that's what I meant when I was talking about the bubble earlier. It's so easy to get lost in it because the voices in that bubble are so loud and convincing that it's almost impossible not to. But I really hope that my voice can make a little dent in that bubble and shed some clarity as to what it's actually like to work with React in the real world. And again, I want to make myself very clear. I'm not against having these discussions about React. I'm not against you trying out a new library just because everybody's talking about it on Twitter. And I'm definitely not against having debates about React and what React should be, because I really think that these debates and these libraries and everything that we do around that online is necessary and is what actually is going to get React to become better with every single update. But understand that that is only part of the conversation and that it doesn't always map to what is happening in the real world. There's a real discrepancy between what you see online and what you see when you actually join a company and work with React. And the difference, trust me, is night and day. And also, the smart thing that you can do, and this I can speak from experience, is to wait until the dust has settled. After all the discussions, all the debates, all the conversations, see what's left, what stuck around and what didn't, because that will give you a great idea as to what you can now start thinking about to actually go and implement into a project that has higher risk and actual consequences. There is a time for discussions, for debates, for trying out the newest and greatest thing, and then there is a time to actually start building a project and leave those conversations outside and focus on what actually matters. If you do this, if you learn this, if you understand this concept, I promise you, you will be one step closer to becoming a senior React developer, and you will be a very valuable member out of any team, any project that you work on. If you enjoyed the video, as always, you can click here to subscribe. You can also click here to watch a different video of mine, which I'm sure that is super awesome. And with that being said, my name has been Darius Kozin. This is Kozin Solutions. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you all in the next video. Ciao, ciao.